I'm a dog walker. I take care of maybe 15 dogs a week, different clients, different neighborhoods. It's good money, and I love dogs, so it works out. Most of my clients just need someone to walk their dog while they're at work. Simple. Mrs. Patterson hired me about 4 months ago. She had this golden retriever named Bailey. Sweet dog, super friendly, easy to handle. Mrs. Patterson was in her 70s, lived alone in this house at the end of a cul-de-sac. Quiet neighborhood, lots of trees. She always had me walk Bailey through the woods behind her house. There was this trail that looped around for about a mile. She'd told me Bailey loved that trail, had been walking it for years. I'd done the walk maybe 20 times, never had a problem. Last Tuesday, I showed up at 2 p.m. like always. Mrs. Patterson let me in, gave me Bailey's leash. She seemed fine, normal. She told me she was going to take a nap and to just lock the door when I left. Bailey and I headed out the back door and into the woods. It was a nice day, sunny, not too hot. Bailey was excited, pulling on the leash like usual. We got maybe 10 minutes into the walk when Bailey stopped, just froze in the middle of the trail. I'd never seen her do that before. She was staring into the woods, off to the left. Her ears were back. She was growling. "What is it, girl?" She wouldn't move. I looked where she was staring, but I didn't see anything, just trees and bushes. Then I heard it, footsteps. Someone was walking parallel to us through the woods, keeping pace. I couldn't see them. The trees were too thick, but I could hear them. Branches snapping, leaves crunching. "Hello?" I called out. The footsteps stopped. Bailey was still growling. I tried to pull her forward, but she wouldn't budge. So I decided to turn around, go back to the house. That's when the footsteps started again, faster now, moving toward the trail, toward us. I saw movement through the trees, someone running. I didn't think. I just dropped Bailey's leash and ran. I ran back down the trail as fast as I could. I could hear Bailey barking behind me, and footsteps, and someone breathing heavy. I made it back to Mrs. Patterson's yard and I didn't stop. I ran around to the front of the house and got in my car. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely get the key in the ignition. I drove to the end of the street and pulled over. I was trying to catch my breath, trying to figure out what just happened. That's when I realized, Bailey. I'd left Bailey. I grabbed my phone to call Mrs. Patterson. Before I could dial, I saw Bailey trotting down the street toward my car. She was alone, no leash. She came right up to my car window and sat down, wagging her tail. I got out and checked her over. She seemed fine, not hurt, not scared. I put her in my car and drove back to Mrs. Patterson's house. I knocked on the front door. No answer. I tried the doorbell. Nothing. The door was unlocked. I opened it and called inside. The house was quiet. I walked in with Bailey. She immediately ran upstairs. "Mrs. Patterson?" I followed Bailey up. She went into the master bedroom. The door was open. Mrs. Patterson was on the bed. At first I thought she was sleeping. Then I saw her face. Her eyes were open, staring at the ceiling. Her mouth was open like she'd been trying to scream. I called 911. They came fast. The paramedics said it looked like a heart attack. Natural causes. Probably happened while I was out with Bailey. But here's the thing. When the police searched the house, they found something. Mrs. Patterson's back door was open. The one I'd locked when Bailey and I left for our walk. And there were muddy footprints on the kitchen floor, coming in from outside, boot prints, size 11, men's. They led from the back door, through the kitchen, up the stairs, and into Mrs. Patterson's bedroom. Then they led back down and out the back door. The police asked if I'd seen anyone. I told them about the person in the woods. They searched the area but didn't find anyone. The coroner confirmed it was a heart attack. But the police told me something that still keeps me up at night. Based on body temperature and other signs, Mrs. Patterson had died around 2:30 p.m., right around the time I was in the woods, right around the time someone was chasing me. Which means whoever was in those woods, whoever chased me and Bailey, they went into that house while I was running away. They went upstairs, they went into her bedroom, and I think she woke up. I think she saw them standing there, and her heart just stopped. The police said there was no sign of forced entry, no sign of struggle. Nothing was stolen. They think someone had been watching the house, knew her routine, knew when I came to walk the dog, waited for me to leave her alone. I think about it all the time. If I hadn't run, if I'd stayed on that trail, would they have left her alone, or were they always planning to go into that house? And the worst part, the part that really messes me up, is Bailey. Bailey came back without her leash, which means someone took it off her. Someone in those woods found Bailey, took off her leash, and sent her back to me, like they wanted me to come back to the house, like they wanted me to find her. I don't walk dogs anymore. I quit the next day. I told all my clients I was done. Because I keep thinking about those footprints, coming in through the back door, walking up those stairs, and I keep wondering if they knew I'd come back. If they were still in the house when I knocked on that door. If they watched me through a window as I called the police. Bailey's living with Mrs. Patterson's daughter now. I heard she's doing okay. But sometimes I drive past that neighborhood, I look down that cul-de-sac at Mrs. Patterson's house, and I wonder if someone's still watching it, still walking those woods, still waiting for the next person to come along. I found the apartment on Craigslist, $400 a month, utilities included. In a city where studios go for $1,200 minimum, I knew it was too good to be true. But I was desperate. The landlord's name was Mr. Reichert, German guy, maybe 65, 70. He owned this old Victorian house in a neighborhood that used to be nice but had gone downhill. He lived on the main floors. The basement had been converted into a small apartment. When he showed it to me, I understood why it was so cheap. It was tiny. One room that served as bedroom and living room, a bathroom the size of a closet, and a kitchenette that was basically a hot plate and a mini fridge. The ceiling was low, maybe 6.5 feet. The walls were concrete, painted white, but you could still see the texture underneath. There was one window, small, up near the ceiling, looking out at ground level. You could see people's feet walking by on the sidewalk. "I'll take it," I said. Mr. Reichert seemed surprised. "You don't want to think about it?" I'd been couch surfing for 3 weeks. I was out of options. "No, I'll take it." He handed me the keys that day. I moved in with everything I owned, which fit in 2 suitcases and a backpack. The first week was fine. Quiet, a little cold, but that was expected for a basement. I could hear Mr. Reichert walking around upstairs sometimes. Footsteps, doors closing, normal house sounds. Week 2, I started noticing the smell. It wasn't there all the time, just occasionally, like something rotting. I checked under the sink, behind the mini fridge, in the bathroom. Couldn't find the source. I mentioned it to Mr. Reichert. He said old houses smell funny sometimes. He'd have someone check it out. No one ever came to check it out. Week 3, I woke up at 4 a.m. to a scratching sound, like something scraping against concrete. It was coming from the wall behind my bed. I put my ear against it and listened. The scratching continued, slow, rhythmic, like someone dragging their fingernails down the wall. I knocked on the wall. The scratching stopped immediately. I figured it was pipes, or maybe rats in the walls. Old house, old plumbing, made sense. But then it happened again the next night, same time, 4 a.m., scratching on the wall. This time I got up and went outside to check. My apartment was in the back of the house. I walked around to the side where my wall would be. There was nothing there but dirt and the foundation. No pipes on the outside, no vents, just concrete and earth. I went back inside. The scratching had stopped. I tried to sleep, but I couldn't. I kept thinking about that wall, about what could be on the other side. In the morning, I knocked on Mr. Reichert's door. He answered in a bathrobe, looking annoyed. "There's something in the wall," I told him. "Scratching. Every night at 4 a.m. His face changed, just for a second, this weird expression I couldn't read. Then he smiled. "Probably rats. I'll set some traps." "It doesn't sound like rats. What else would it be?" He was still smiling, but his eyes weren't. I didn't have an answer for that. That night I couldn't sleep. I just lay there watching the clock on my phone. 3:58, 3:59, 4. The scratching started. I turned on the flashlight on my phone and shined it at the wall. The paint was old, cracked in places, and I noticed something I hadn't seen before. In the cracks, there was something dark, like the paint had been covering something up. I got up and looked closer. The dark stuff was showing through in several places. It looked like writing. Words scratched into the concrete underneath the paint. I couldn't make out what it said. The paint was too thick, but I could see enough to know it was there. I grabbed a butter knife from the kitchenette and started scraping at the paint. It came off in chips, and underneath, carved into the concrete, were words. "Help me." My blood went cold. I scraped more paint away. More words appeared. "He keeps me here. Can't get out. Please help." The words covered the entire wall, dozens of them, maybe hundreds, all scratched into the concrete. Someone had spent hours, days maybe, carving these messages. The scratching sound started again, louder now, more frantic. I pressed my hand against the wall. It was cold, and I could feel it, a vibration, like something on the other side was pressing back. I ran out of that apartment. I didn't grab my stuff. I didn't lock the door. I just ran. I went to a 24-hour diner and sat there until the sun came up. Then I called the police. I told them everything. The scratching, the messages in the wall. They said they'd send someone to check it out. 2 officers met me at the house around 9 a.m. Mr. Reichert was already outside waiting on the porch. He looked calm, too calm. "This is embarrassing," he said to the officers. "My tenant has been under a lot of stress. I think she's been hearing things. She says there are messages carved in the wall," one of the officers said. Mr. Reichert shook his head. "I just painted that wall 6 months ago. There's nothing carved in it." We went down to the apartment. I showed them the wall, the messages I'd uncovered, except they weren't there. The wall was smooth, freshly painted, white, no cracks, no words, nothing. I stood there, staring at it. I scraped the paint off. Right here, the words were here. The officers exchanged a look. Mr. Reichert put his hand on my shoulder. "Maybe you should get some rest. Moving is stressful. This apartment might not be the right fit for you." They all looked at me like I was crazy. Maybe I was. Maybe I'd imagined the whole thing. But I know what I saw. I know what I felt. The officers left. Mr. Reichert offered to let me out of the lease. No hard feelings. I could get my deposit back, pack up my stuff, leave today. I agreed. I went back into the apartment to pack. Mr. Reichert went back upstairs. That's when I noticed something. The butter knife I'd used to scrape the paint. It was on the floor by the wall, covered in white paint chips. I picked it up. The paint was still wet. Someone had repainted that wall. Between the time I left at 4 a.m. and when the police arrived at 9 a.m., 5 hours. I looked up at the ceiling. I could hear Mr. Reichert walking around up there, back and forth, back and forth. I started packing faster. I wanted out of there, but I had to know. I had to understand. I went to the wall and put my ear against it, listening. At first nothing, then I heard it, faint, so faint I almost missed it. Breathing. On the other side of the wall, someone was breathing. I grabbed my phone and opened the flashlight app. I shined it at the wall, moving it slowly across the surface, and I saw it, a small gap, where the wall met the floor, maybe half an inch. I knelt down and looked through the gap. I could see into the space behind the wall. It was dark, but in the darkness I saw something. A hand, pale, thin, pressed against the concrete on the other side. I screamed and fell backward. The hand pulled away, disappearing into the darkness. I heard footsteps upstairs, fast, coming down the stairs. I grabbed my backpack and ran for the door. Mr. Reichert was at the bottom of the stairs, blocking the hallway. "Did you find something?" he asked. He wasn't smiling anymore. I didn't answer. I pushed past him and ran up the stairs. He grabbed my arm, but I pulled away. I made it to the front door and got outside. I ran all the way to my car and drove straight to the police station. I told them everything. The hand, the breathing, the repainted wall. They went back to the house with me, this time with more officers. They searched the whole place, basement, main floors, attic. They checked the walls for hidden spaces. Brought in someone with equipment that could see through walls. They found nothing. No hidden rooms, no gaps in the walls. Mr. Reichert's house was exactly what it appeared to be. A normal old Victorian, no secret spaces. They questioned him for hours. He had an explanation for everything. Said I'd been acting strange since I moved in. Said he'd repainted the wall because I'd vandalized it. Said he'd offered to let me out of the lease because he was worried about my mental state. They couldn't charge him with anything. There was no evidence of a crime. But they did find one thing when they ran his background check. Mr. Reichert had a daughter, Emily. She'd been reported missing 15 years ago, age 17. She'd disappeared from that house, from her bedroom on the 2nd floor. They'd searched the house back then too, never found her, never found any evidence of foul play. She was listed as a runaway. The case went cold. I moved back in with my parents after that. I'm still there. I can't afford my own place, not yet. But I've been doing research, looking into that house, that neighborhood. I found something interesting. 3 other tenants had rented that basement apartment over the past 15 years. All young women. All stayed less than a month. All left suddenly. I tracked down one of them on Facebook and messaged her. She responded the same day. "Did you hear the scratching?" she asked. "Yes," I typed back. "Did you see the messages?" "Yes." There was a long pause. Then, "Did you see the hand?" I stared at my screen. My hands were shaking. "Yes." Another pause. Then, "That was 15 years ago for me." I tried to tell the police. They didn't believe me. I thought I was going crazy. "Thank you for letting me know I wasn't." I asked her if she remembered anything else. Anything that might help. She sent me one more message. The scratching always started at 4 a.m. That's when Emily disappeared. 4 a.m. on October 3rd, 2009. Her father said she must have run away in the night. But I don't think she ever left that house. I think she's still there, in the walls. And I think she's been trying to tell someone for 15 years. I reported everything to the police again. Gave them the information about the other tenants. They said they'd look into it, but I haven't heard anything back. That was 3 months ago. I drive past that house sometimes. I can't help it. The basement apartment window is dark. No one's living there now. There's a for rent sign in the front yard. $400 a month, utilities included. And sometimes late at night when I can't sleep, I wonder about Emily. If she's still down there. Still scratching at the walls. Still hoping someone will hear her. Still waiting for someone to help. We should have kept driving. My buddy Jake and I were doing a cross-country road trip. College graduation thing. Denver to Boston. We'd been on the road for about 6 hours, somewhere in the middle of Nebraska, when Jake said he needed to use the bathroom. It was around 11 p.m., dark, middle of nowhere. We'd passed maybe 3 cars in the last hour. I saw a sign for a rest stop in 2 miles, one of those small ones, not a big travel plaza with gas stations and restaurants, just bathrooms and parking. We pulled in. There were no other cars in the lot, just empty spaces and a single overhead light that was barely working, flickering on and off. The rest stop was this small brick building. Men's room on one side, women's on the other. A couple of vending machines between them. That was it. "I'll be quick," Jake said, getting out. "Want me to come with?" He laughed. "I think I can pee by myself." I stayed in the car, engine running, scrolling through my phone. No signal out here. I couldn't even load anything. Just sat there playing a game I downloaded earlier. 5 minutes passed, then 10. I looked up. The men's room door was still closed. The light above it was flickering. 15 minutes. I got out of the car. "Jake, you good?" No answer. I walked up to the men's room and pushed the door open. "Jake?" The bathroom was empty. 3 urinals, 2 stalls. Both stall doors were open. Nobody inside. My stomach dropped. I checked the women's room. Empty. I walked around the entire building. Nothing. The parking lot was still empty. Just our car with the headlights on. I pulled out my phone to call him. Still no signal. I got back in the car and honked the horn. Maybe he'd wandered off for some reason. Maybe he was behind the building smoking or something, even though Jake didn't smoke. Nothing. No response. I sat there for another 5 minutes trying to figure out what to do. Then I saw headlights. A truck pulling into the rest stop. I got out and waved at the driver. It was an older guy, maybe 50. He rolled down his window. "You okay?" he asked. "My friend went into the bathroom like 20 minutes ago and he never came out. I can't find him." The guy's expression changed. "Which bathroom?" "Men's room." He put his truck in park and got out. He was a big guy, wearing a flannel jacket and work boots. He looked nervous. "Show me," he said. We went to the men's room together. He pushed the door open and looked inside. Empty. He checked both stalls, looked behind the door, even checked if there were any panels in the ceiling someone could climb through. Nothing. "Has anyone else stopped here?" he asked. No other cars." He walked back outside and looked around. "There's something you should know about this rest stop." My blood went cold. "What?" "People disappear here. Not often. Maybe once every few years, but it happens. Someone goes into the bathroom, doesn't come out, no trace, no body, nothing." "You're joking." I wish I was. There was a state trooper who disappeared here in 2019. Stopped to use the bathroom during his shift. His patrol car was still running. He was just gone. They searched for weeks. Never found him. I felt like I was going to throw up. "No signal out here. Nearest town with a cell tower is about 40 miles east. I'm headed that way. Follow me. We'll call from there." I got in my car and followed his truck out of the rest stop. I kept looking in my rearview mirror at that building getting smaller and smaller behind us. We drove for maybe 20 minutes before I got a signal. I called 911 immediately, told them everything. They said they'd send someone to the rest stop and they'd start a search. They took down all Jake's information, description, what he was wearing, everything. The truck driver stayed with me until the police arrived, 2 state troopers. They took my statement, then they followed me back to the rest stop. When we got there, Jake's backpack was sitting on the ground outside the men's room door. I know it wasn't there before. I'd walked past that spot a dozen times. The backpack wasn't there. The troopers searched the rest stop again. They called in more units. By 2 a.m., there were 6 police cars there. They brought dogs. They searched the surrounding area, the fields, the highway embankment, everything. They found nothing. One of the troopers told me they were going to treat it as a missing person case. They'd review any security cameras in the area, check for other vehicles that might have passed by, interview me more thoroughly tomorrow. "Are there security cameras here?" I asked. "At the rest stop?" "There used to be," he said. "They got vandalized about 5 years ago. State never replaced them. They let me go around 4 a.m., told me to get a hotel room, get some rest, and come to the station in the morning. I drove to the nearest town and got a room at a motel. I couldn't sleep. I just sat there, staring at the wall, trying to understand what happened. My phone buzzed. A text message. From Jake. "Where are you?" I called him immediately. It went straight to voicemail. I texted back. "Jake, where the hell are you? Everyone's looking for you." No response. I waited 5 minutes and texted again. "This isn't funny, please answer." 3 dots appeared. He was typing. Then, "I'm still at the rest stop, where did you go?" My hands started shaking. "I've been at the rest stop for hours. The police are there. You're not there." Another long pause. Then, "I can see our car. You're sitting in it. Why aren't you answering me? I've been calling you." I looked at my call log. No missed calls from Jake. I checked his location on Find My Friends. We'd set it up before the trip in case we got separated. His location showed he was at the rest stop, right where I'd left him. I got in my car and drove back. I didn't care that it was 4:30 a.m. I didn't care that I was exhausted. If Jake was there, I was going to find him. When I pulled into the rest stop, the police were gone. The parking lot was empty, just like when we'd first arrived. I got out and looked around. "Jake." My phone buzzed. Another text from Jake. "Why are you yelling? I'm right here." I looked at the men's room door. It was closed. I walked up to it and pushed it open. Empty. Same as before. "Jake, this isn't funny anymore. Where are you?" He called me. I answered immediately. "Dude, what the hell?" His voice sounded normal, not scared, just confused. "Where are you?" "I'm in the bathroom. Where are you?" "I'm in the bathroom. You're not here." Silence. Then, "What are you talking about?" "I can see you. You're standing right outside the stall." I looked at the stalls. Both doors were open, both empty. "Jake, there's no one here." "Very funny. Just wait in the car. I'll be out in a minute." The call ended. I stood there for a long moment. Then I backed out of the bathroom slowly. I got in my car and locked the doors. I waited, watching the bathroom door. 15 minutes, 20, 30. The door never opened. I started the car and drove away. I didn't stop until I got back to the motel. I called the police again and told them about the texts, the call, everything. They went back to the rest stop. Jake wasn't there. They traced his phone. The signal was coming from the rest stop, but when they searched, they couldn't find the phone. That was 4 months ago. Jake is still listed as a missing person. His family hired a private investigator. The PI couldn't find anything the police hadn't already found, which was nothing. I still get texts from Jake sometimes, always between midnight and 4 a.m., always saying the same things. "Where are you? I'm still waiting. Why did you leave me?" I don't respond anymore, but the texts keep coming. His location on Find My Friends still shows him at that rest stop, every single day, standing in the exact same spot, the men's room. I've thought about going back, about trying to find him, but the truth is, I'm terrified, because I think Jake is still there. I think he's been there this whole time. But he's not in our world anymore. He's somewhere else. Somewhere that looks like the rest stop, but isn't. And he thinks I'm the one who disappeared. The state closed that rest stop last month, put up barriers, posted signs saying it's out of service, but people still disappear there. I've been following the news. 2 more since Jake, a woman in September, a teenager in October. Both vanished from the bathrooms, both never found. I don't do road trips anymore, and I never stop at rest stops, no matter how badly I need to use the bathroom, no matter how tired I am, because I know the truth now. Some places are wrong, some places are thin, and if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, you might step through that thin spot into somewhere else. Somewhere you can't get back from. Jake's still sending me texts. I got one last night. "Please come back. I'm still waiting. It's getting dark here." I deleted the message, but I know there'll be another one tonight. There always is. Well, those were tonight's stories. If you enjoyed them, make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and let me know in the comments which one got to you the most. I'll see you soon with more stories.